The Anderson family's monthly dinner filled their modernist dining room with tension thicker than the steam rising from Mother's infamous organic soup. The table, a sleek masterpiece of glass and steel, reflected the chandelier's cold light, much like the cold stares I'd grown accustomed to over the years. "Still spending all your time in that basement lab?" Dad asked, adjusting his wire-rimmed glasses. As the head of Quantum Dynamics Corporation, he believed real science happened in corporate laboratories, not in what he called my hobby workspace. I stirred my soup slowly, watching the vegetables swirl. My phone buzzed silently in my pocket. Another update from my research team. "The basement has state-of-the-art equipment," I replied quietly. My sister Victoria snorted, her Yale Medical School ring catching the light as she reached for her wine. "State-of-the-art? That ancient electron microscope Dad gave you as a starter gift." "The one I replaced 2 years ago," I murmured, but nobody heard. They never did. Mother set down her spoon with surgical precision. Her background in neurosurgery meant everything had to be exact, measured, perfect. "Sophia darling, you're 31. Victoria was running her own research department at your age." "In a real laboratory," Victoria added, "not some makeshift setup in a basement." I checked my phone discreetly. The final results had come in. After 8 years of work, we'd done it. The confirmation from 3 independent laboratories sat in my inbox, waiting to change everything. "The equipment doesn't matter," Dad continued, warming to his favorite topic, my failures. "It's the research itself. Quantum cellular regeneration. It's science fiction." The board laughed when I mentioned it. My fingers tightened around my spoon. The board had laughed because he'd deliberately misrepresented my work, calling it cellular magic tricks, instead of explaining the breakthrough in quantum biological interfaces. "The NIH grant committee didn't laugh," I said quietly. "Not that they knew about the private grant I'd received, the one that had funded my real research." Victoria rolled her eyes. "Oh yes, your tiny grant. Remind me, how much was it?" "Barely enough for a proper centrifuge." Mother dabbed her lips with her napkin. "We're just concerned, dear. You've spent 8 years on this project. Maybe it's time to consider a real position. Your father's company has excellent entry-level research positions." My phone buzzed again. The Stockholm committee's preliminary email had arrived. I took a slow sip of water, remembering all the nights I'd spent perfecting the quantum resonance patterns while they assumed I was playing with microscopes. "Actually," I started, but Dad cut me off. "No more excuses, Sophia. This ends now. Either join the real scientific community or admit you've wasted your doctorate on impossible theories." The TV in the adjacent living room, always on during dinner to monitor stock prices, suddenly changed programs. The news anchor's voice carried clearly into the dining room. "Breaking news from the scientific community," the anchor announced. In a shocking announcement, the Nobel Committee has revealed this year's winner in physics. "Must be Richardson," Dad said, reaching for his wine. "His quantum gravity work is revolutionary." I stood slowly, straightening my lab coat, the one they'd mocked for being unnecessarily formal in my basement playground. "The youngest Nobel laureate in history," the anchor continued, "Dr. Sophia Anders." The sound of Mother's wine glass shattering against the floor punctuated the moment perfectly. The room froze as the TV anchor's voice filled every corner. Multiple wine glasses now decorated the floor with their shattered remains as both Victoria and Dad lost their grip simultaneously. "Dr. Sophia Anderson's groundbreaking work in quantum cellular regeneration has revolutionized our understanding of biological systems," the anchor continued. "Her discovery of quantum biological interfaces has been hailed as the most significant breakthrough in medical science since the discovery of DNA." I pressed a button on my phone, and the dining room's hidden screens descended from the ceiling, a feature they'd never noticed during their countless lectures about my waste of resources. Each screen lit up with different aspects of my research: quantum matrices, cellular regeneration patterns, and live feeds from laboratories worldwide using my protocols. "The Nobel Committee's decision was unanimous," the broadcast continued. "The implications of Dr. Anderson's work extend beyond physics into medicine, potentially offering cures for previously untreatable conditions." "Impossible," Victoria whispered, her medical degree suddenly feeling inadequate. "You work in a basement." "A basement?" I smiled, activating another screen. You mean the quantum research facility funded by a $2.3 billion private grant? The one housing the world's most advanced quantum biological interface system. Dad's face turned ashen as footage of my basement lab appeared, a sprawling underground complex filled with technology even his corporate empire couldn't match. But your NIH grant was only... Mother stammered. A cover, I finished. While you were mocking my tiny grant, the World Science Foundation was funding the largest private research initiative in history. That ancient electron microscope you laughed at? It's now in the Smithsonian, recognized as the device that launched the quantum biological revolution. The screens filled with images of cellular regeneration in action, damaged tissues rebuilding themselves using quantum resonance patterns. Victoria's medical journals lay forgotten as she watched decades of conventional wisdom crumble before her eyes. Those impossible theories? I continued, pulling up more data. They're now the foundation of 17 new medical treatments. The FDA fast-tracked approval after seeing the results. Every major hospital is scrambling to install our quantum interface systems. My phone buzzed continuously as congratulatory messages poured in. The President, the UN Secretary General, every major research institution worldwide. $3.8 million, I said quietly. What? Dad's voice cracked. The Nobel Prize money. Though that's nothing compared to the patent values. Would you like to know what your board is offering for just one license? The TV switched to financial news. Quantum Dynamics Corporation's stock plunged 40% as investors rushed to back Dr. Anderson's independent research facility. Sources say major pharmaceutical companies are engaging in a bidding war for licensing rights. Victoria stood up so quickly her chair toppled backward. You'll destroy Dad's company. No, I corrected her. I'm revolutionizing medicine. The question is whether quantum dynamics wants to be part of that revolution, or watch from the sidelines as their technology becomes obsolete. The screens now showed global stock tickers, all reacting to my Nobel announcement. My research facility's value had doubled in the past hour alone. The Stockholm ceremony is next week, I said, gathering my things. I'd invite you, but... I smiled, remembering all their mockery. I wouldn't want to waste your time with my hobby. As I turned to leave, Dad finally found his voice. Sophia, wait, we didn't know. Exactly, I paused at the door. You didn't know because you didn't want to know. Too busy laughing at the daughter in the basement to notice she was changing the world. The Nobel Committee's official announcement began playing on every screen, drowning out their attempts to respond. I left them sitting amid their shattered wine glasses and shattered assumptions, their daughter's wasteful research, now worth more than their entire family fortune. 1 week after the Nobel announcement, I stood at the podium in Stockholm's concert hall, the prestigious Nobel medal gleaming against my midnight blue gown. The same gown Mother had called unnecessarily formal for a basement scientist, when she'd seen it in my closet last month. The grand hall was packed with the world's scientific elite, CEOs of major pharmaceutical companies, and government officials from 30 nations. In the back row, not the VIP section they'd expected, sat my family, their expressions a mix of awe and devastation. Quantum cellular regeneration wasn't just a theory. I began my acceptance speech, my voice carrying through the perfect acoustics. It was a bridge between two worlds we thought could never meet. The quantum realm doesn't just influence our reality, it is our reality, down to our very cells. The massive screens behind me displayed real-time demonstrations from hospitals worldwide. Severed nerve endings reconnecting through quantum entanglement. Damaged organs rebuilding themselves using quantum-guided cellular matrices. Cancer cells being reprogrammed at the quantum level. 3 days ago, I continued, the first human patient was cured of stage 4 pancreatic cancer using our quantum interface protocol. Yesterday, a paralyzed veteran regained full mobility through quantum neural regeneration. This morning, a child born blind experienced vision for the first time through quantum optical reconstruction. Victoria shifted uncomfortably in her seat. Her medical journal had rejected my paper 2 years ago, calling it fantasy research. Now that same journal's latest issue featured my work on its cover, heralding the dawn of quantum medicine. But perhaps the most significant breakthrough isn't scientific at all, I said, my gaze finding Dad's. It's the reminder that innovation doesn't require corporate backing or institutional approval. Sometimes, the greatest discoveries happen in a basement, funded by belief when no one else would listen. The screens shifted to show my basement lab, all 50,000 square feet of it, built deep beneath the city while my family assumed I was playing with microscopes. The quantum interface chambers, the molecular reconstruction units, the artificial intelligence systems that had helped crack the code between quantum states and biological processes. The World Science Foundation saw potential where others saw impossibility. I acknowledged the organization's directors in the front row. Their $2.3 billion grant didn't just fund research. It funded a revolution in human health. And today that revolution belongs to everyone. I gestured and the screens displayed our new open-source initiative. Every protocol, every discovery, every breakthrough will be freely available to research institutions worldwide. The patents will be used only to prevent commercialization, not to restrict access. Quantum healing isn't a product to be sold. It's a fundamental human right. The announcement sent ripples through the audience. Pharmaceutical executives frantically typed on their phones as their stock prices began to plummet. Dad's company's shares, already down 60% since the Nobel announcement, dropped another 15% in real time. To those who called this research wasteful, I continued, my voice steady, I offer not criticism but an invitation. Join us. The Quantum Health Initiative launches today with $50 billion in international funding. Our goal is to have quantum healing centers in every major hospital within 5 years. Mother's hand trembled as she reached for her phone, likely seeing the notifications about her hospital board's emergency meeting. They'd rejected my offer to install a quantum interface system last year. Now they'd be competing with every other medical center for limited spots in the first implementation wave. The future of medicine isn't in pills or procedures, I declared, approaching my conclusion. It's an understanding that our bodies are quantum systems capable of self-repair, self-regulation, and self-renewal. We simply needed to learn their language. The screens showed a final series of images. Children walking out of wheelchairs, cancer patients watching their tumors disappear in real time, burn victims experiencing instant tissue regeneration. 8 years of work, compressed into a symphony of healing that left the audience breathless. And so, I smiled, touching the Nobel medal, to every researcher working in a basement, every scientist told their dreams are impossible, every innovator pushed to the margins. This moment is for you. Because sometimes the greatest breakthroughs come from the places others mock, and the most powerful discoveries emerge from the spaces between what we know and what we dare to imagine. The standing ovation lasted 15 minutes. Through it all, my family remained seated, their world reconstructing itself as dramatically as the cells in our quantum chambers. Their phones buzzed continuously, board members resigning, investors pulling out, partners canceling contracts. Later, at the Nobel banquet, they approached my table, the one at the center of the room, surrounded by world leaders and scientific luminaries. Sophia, Dad began, his voice lacking its usual authority, we need to talk about the company. Quantum dynamics? I sipped my champagne. You mean the company that's now worth less than my first research grant? The one that called quantum cellular regeneration scientific fantasy in their shareholder report. We can explain, Victoria started, but I held up my hand. No need. Your explanations are as outdated as your medical textbooks. I gestured to the quantum tablet in front of me, displaying real-time healing statistics from around the world. But I meant what I said about an invitation. Mother leaned forward eagerly. You'll help save the company? No, I corrected her. I'm offering you the chance to help save lives. The Quantum Health Initiative needs experienced researchers, administrators, and medical professionals. You can join as entry-level team members, learn the technology from the ground up, and maybe, if you prove yourselves, earn positions of responsibility. Entry-level. Dad's face flushed. I built a billion-dollar company. And I rebuilt the foundations of medical science, I replied calmly. Which matters more? Victoria sat heavily in an empty chair. All those times we mocked your work. Taught me invaluable lessons about persistence, I finished. The basement you ridiculed became the birthplace of a medical revolution. The research you dismissed will save millions of lives. The daughter you underestimated just redefined what's possible. I stood, preparing to join the Nobel Committee for official photographs. You have until tomorrow to decide. Join us as learners humbled and ready to learn, or watch from the sidelines as your medical empire becomes as obsolete as bloodletting. And the monthly family dinners? Mother asked quietly. We'll continue, I smiled. But now there'll be progress reports where you'll present your work to me for approval. Consider it poetic justice, served with a side of quantum physics. As I walked away, leaving them amid their shattered presumptions and crumbling empires, I touched the Nobel medal again. Sometimes the greatest revenge isn't proving others wrong. It's proving yourself right so magnificently that their doubts become their downfall. The quantum future awaited, and I had healing to do, both cellular and familial. Though only one of those was guaranteed to succeed.